The landscape of WWE looks very different following the events of the weekend. Several titles changed hands, including the WWE Championship and the World Heavyweight Championship. John Cena and Jey Uso are the new top dogs in the men's division, while Io Sky and Tiffany Stratton managed to retain their titles at WrestleMania. We also saw Paul Heyman betray Roman Reigns and CM Punk to help Seth Rollins claim victory in a move that was equal parts shocking and predictable. Let's take a look at how WWE addressed the fallout from WrestleMania on Monday's show, for this is Ridiculously Raw. Hey there, welcome everybody to another edition of Ridiculously Raw, the most must-see show on YouTube and streaming.com today. I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined as always by the phenom, Michael Bullock. It's not often we say this, but we might be awaiting the presence of good old MF Michael Fletcher. If he comes in, we will catch him up on what he missed. If not, then we will hopefully have him back with us Thursday night for TXN Sports World. Before we start here tonight, I want to take a moment to share a positive news update on our dear friend Mike Keenan, who has been in the who has been in the hospital for quite a few weeks now, and he's starting to make significant progress. He's doing much better. He still has a ways to go in his recovery, but I spoke to him yesterday, and he's definitely, I think he's back to his normal self, but he still has a ways to go until he's fully recovered. So he's doing well, and we want to send our continued prayers to Mike and Brian and the entire Keenan family, and speediest of recoveries, brother. And we're, as you know, as we always say, we love you. We're thinking of you, and this show tonight is for you. So with that being said, let's get into Monday Night Raw, the Raw after WrestleMania. Oh, we know how wild and crazy this can be. Except for the last few years, it hasn't. But last night, one of the best Raw after Mania shows in years. And we started it off with the WWE champion, the new WWE champion, John Cena. And John Cena gave the regular Raw ring announcer, as we all know, is Alicia Taylor, but Alicia Taylor obviously had a very busy weekend with WrestleMania, so they gave her the week off. So Mark Nash, the new ring announcer of SmackDown, filled in for Alicia Taylor last night. And John Cena gave Mark Nash a note with a new introduction for him that was more to his liking. He said the crowd is not worthy because they booed him on Friday, so he is not going to just forgive them for cheering him when he has gold. The crowd actually chanted, "We are sorry," and Cena called the crowd sorry lowlifes. He said the crowd means nothing to him, so it chanted a-hole at him. As Cena was preparing to finish up his speech, Randy Orton appeared behind him and hit an RKO out of nowhere, much to the crowd's delight. This was a solid promo, and it was exactly what Cena needed to do after winning the title. He solidified his position as a heel and set up his next feud in the process. Randy Orton is a logical challenger due to their long history as rivals, so this should be fun, especially with the roles reversed, with Cena the heel and Orton the babyface. John Cena calling himself an anus is going to be a meme before the show is over, and the crowd gave Cena a lot and played along with everything. The fans helped make this segment work, so solid start to this Raw after Mania edition of Monday Night Raw here from the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. So not much more to say. Michael Bullock, John Cena, heel promo, scathing heel promo as always. But the visual, we will all remember Randy Orton sneaking up on him. Bam! RKO out of nowhere. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got your main event for Backlash on May 10th in Orton's hometown of St. Louis.
Yes. But the thing is, Florio, and you and I talked about this, the roles are going to be reversed in this renewal of a rivalry. In years past, it was been Randy Orton as the heel, John Cena as the babyface. But this time around, with John Cena as the heel and Randy Orton as the babyface. Yeah, I mean, another scathing heel promo by John Cena and Florio. You heard the crowd. I mean, they were actually saying we are sorry, but he turned it around and basically said, for those people who are at home, they're saying we aren't sorry. And the crowd was like, no. And he just continued to rip on them, saying, you don't mean a damn thing to me. And that's when they started calling him an asshole. But if I was in that crowd, Florio, I would have said something else. Well, you know where I'm going with this. And I don't need to repeat it because it happened the first time when it was in Brussels, Belgium. Read in that what you will. And yeah, professionally, this was a really good scathing promo. And yeah, Randy Orton snuck up behind him, bam, hit him with the 3 most dangerous letters in all of WWE.
This one's for you, MF.
RKO. And all I can say is, Florio, couldn't have happened to a nicer guy.
Here, here.
Yeah. So there's Cena. Yeah, and this is my personal side coming out. You want to come out and continue to rip the fans after all these years. They stood behind you, where you stood for hustle, loyalty, and respect, and they were saying sorry, and you are basically saying no. They're saying we aren't sorry. No, that's not what they said, Cena. Get that through your thick skull. And I'm going to say it right here, right now. I have lost all respect for you, and you are nothing more than a low-life, no good piece of, and I'm sorry to do this, Florio.
Go ahead.
I know this is your channel.
No, go ahead.
But you are nothing more than a piece of fucking shit.
Here, here.
And not only I wished Randy Orton would have, I mean, yes, he RKO'd you, but I would have loved to see him punt you in the head so fucking hard that your career was over before even getting to December. And I hope he does that at Backlash. So, but you know what? And either way, I'm going to say it. Fuck you, Cena, and fuck your career.
Yep. Okay. So.
And yeet on that one.
Yeet is right.
And if you can't handle it, in the immortal words of Michael Wilbon, John Cena, get out.
Can't stand the heat, get out of the damn kitchen. So that's all there is to say on that. All right. We move on now to our first match of the night. And it was a return match from WrestleMania. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez invoked their rematch clause. So it was Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez challenging the new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria. And the winners of the match in 11 minutes and 55 seconds. And once again, the new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, four-time co-holders of the Women's Tag Team Championship.
Oh, but
after the match was over,
there's more.
Hold on. But after the match was over, Becky and Lyra, they had a moment. And, Mega Bullock and I, we had our Raw chat last night, and I was like, I don't know, Bullock, there's something there's more to this than meets the eye. And sure enough, I was right. Becky Lynch turned heel. Becky Lynch attacking Lyra Valkyria. So, well, it's obvious to me that Bayley, or should I say Becky Lynch, who knows? They could set it up where Becky Lynch was the one who took out Bayley prior to on WrestleMania Saturday, prior to the show starting.
I think it was.
It definitely was. And as Liv and Raquel said, "Oh, we just got here. We didn't know anything about this." Adam Pearce was calling their bluff, but
So for the second time this has happened, and they are once again reprieved.
and this was a night of bombs. This Raw after Mania had several bombs. The first bomb was Randy Orton sneak attacking John Cena and dropping him with an RKO. Bomb number 2, Becky Lynch heel turn and turning on Lyra Valkyria shortly after losing the Women's Tag Team Championships, and their reign only lasted 1 day. 1 day. That's it. 1 day. So, not much more to say on this. So, Michael Ball, let's get your thoughts on the match. Lyra, or should I say, Liv and Raquel, once again, the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, they win the match. 11 minutes and 55 seconds. And I'm not doing the gorilla thing because I did not see anything unprecedented about that crowning. Not at all.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. What was the time again?
11 minutes and 55 seconds.
Yeah, I'll give this about maybe 3.25 on this one. And yeah, I mean, it was a solid tag team title match. And normally, Florio, we would poo-poo over the fact with the champions losing after just winning it, but actually, I don't have a problem with it because now there's a legitimate reason why. Because now with this heel turn, and I think we're all. I mean, you already said it, but I think everybody in the IWC is going to be in agreement of who was the one that attacked Bayley. It was Becky Lynch, and this could set up, obviously not just for a future match between Lyra and Becky, but you want to talk about renewal of rivalries. Here comes another one. Bayley and Becky Lynch going at it again. And again, it's the role of reversal. This time Becky as the heel and Bayley as the babyface. So we'll see what happens with that. So there's really nothing more for me to say. It's yours, Florio.
I'll be honest. This match was better than the Mania match. I could give this about 3.25 stars, teetering on 3.5. The intensity picked up in the second half, and they did a good job making this feel completely different from their match at Mania. A 1-day title reign is never ideal, but the end of this told us why it was booked that way. Becky attacked Lyra and blamed her for the loss before storming off. So it definitely looks like Becky will be chasing the women's IC title soon. The ring announcer seemed to be having some issues before this match. He began the intro for Morgan and Rodriguez 3 times. It's interesting to note that Lyra came out during Becky's music instead of having her own entrance. Great to see Becky looking like she has no ring rust whatsoever after almost a year away from the ring, and the powerbomb Raquel hit on Lyra was great. So not much more to say on that. 3.25 stars for the effort on that one. So, okay. Next up, we had another set of new champions, the new World Tag Team Champions. The New Day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. They came out and then they were interrupted by the Alpha Academy. Otis, Akira Tozawa, Maxine Dupree, and Maxine Dupree with a microphone in her hand. Very interesting. And then it looked like that Alpha Academy and New Day were about to have a match. They were getting ready to have a match, and then the lights go out. And then when the lights came back on, for the first time in a good 5 or 6 years or so, Rusev Rusev Machka. He's back.
Rusev Day.
Rusev is back in WWE. The next bomb to drop. Orton attacking Cena. Becky turning heel. And now the return of Rusev, which was only a matter of time. Obviously, there was no match here. This was obviously more of an angle than a match. This was a weird way to bring Rusev back while teasing a tag title bout, but the crowd loved it, and he looked like a beast, so it accomplished its goal. And I don't know what else there is to say. So Michael Bullock, business has picked up. Rusev back in WWE after a good 5 or 6 years or so, after a ho-hum career in AEW. He's back in WWE, back under the Rusev banner, and of course Lana, obviously, signing a Legends deal. So who knows if we'll get Lana back with him soon enough. But right now, Rusev back in WWE. Business has picked up.
And I expect bigger and better things for Rusev in WWE now under the Triple H regime, because he had somewhat of a so-so career in WWE under Vince McMahon. So I definitely expect bigger things from this, and he definitely had a major impact, taking out both Akira Tozawa and Otis. So yeah, I mean, great to see him back. So there's nothing more to add on to it. So it's yours, Florio.
Okay, let's see what we have here. Yeah, a lot of, and then of course we had some. We then go to the Judgment Day Clubhouse, and then the next bomb. It wasn't even a match. It wasn't even an angle. For the first time, let me rephrase this. Papa H and the crew not wasting any time, already on top of their game, already announcing the date and the location of this year's Survivor Series. An event that started in 1987, and every year since that event started, you've noticed that the event has taken place in the regulation arenas, such as the Richfield Coliseum, Madison Square Garden, TD Garden, Chicago, Philly, even 3 separate trips of Canada in Montreal, Toronto, and this last one in Vancouver. All have been in regulation arenas. Not this year. For the first time in the almost 40-year history of Survivor Series is going to be held in a stadium. And I know a lot of people are thinking, a stadium show? Thanksgiving weekend? It's usually cold around that time of year. Yes, it is. On the East Coast, not the West Coast. Saturday, November 29th, the 2025 WWE Survivor Series will be held from Petco Park in San Diego, California, the home of the San Diego Padres. Well, how about that? Survivor Series outdoors in a stadium for the first time in the history of that event. Never been done before. I always said to myself, I wonder what would happen if WWE ever decided to do a Survivor Series in a stadium. Well, now we're finally going to know.
Yep, you're going to know now, Florio.
Royal Rumbles have been in stadiums. Of course, WrestleManias. SummerSlams, obviously now stadium shows after they were in arenas for the longest time. But now for the first time ever, Survivor Series, Petco Park, San Diego. And if they keep the War Games theme going.
It's already under the War Games theme.
Yeah, it just said Survivor Series San Diego, though. That's my.
I thought it said War Games.
No, it didn't. It said Survivor Series San Diego.
I do expect it.
Should they keep that banner? It'll definitely conjure up memories of the old NWA War Game days during the legendary Great American Bash tour of 86 and 87 when they were doing them outdoors at such as the old Orange Bowl in Miami, where the Miami Hurricanes and the Miami Dolphins used to play before before Hard Rock Stadium, obviously. So epic, another bomb here. I mean, when Bullock and I saw that, we couldn't believe it. We were like, Survivor Series at Petco Park? Survivor Series, a stadium show? Wow. Okay. Okay, we got some more bombs here. As if those other bombs weren't big enough. We had another one. The women's world champion, Io Sky, she comes out, cuts a promo, and she got interrupted. And who did she get interrupted by? She got interrupted by the NXT Women's Champion, the Dark Angel, La Primera, Stephanie Vacour. What? And at that point, I told Bullock, I'm done. I'm not even believing this night anymore.
And you told me that after that, this was already better than last year's Raw after Mania.
Oh, yes. Eons better. Last year's Raw after Mania was average, mediocre. Not this one.
Oh, this was anything but that.
Io Sky came out, celebrated her big win at WrestleMania. She said it was the best night of her career because she proved she is the best. NXT Women's Champion Stephanie Vacour made a surprising appearance, and Io, you notice, had a big smile on her face. Vacour said she respects Io, but she wants to face the best, and that means she wants to face Io. They were getting ready to throw down, but General Manager Adam Pearce came out and were like, "Oh, come on, Adam, don't do this. Don't ruin this."
Yeah, this was the one time we were like, "Hey, Adam, you've done a really great job. Don't F it up for us.
Don't take this away from us.
If you take this away from us,
we're gonna go on a major rant
tonight."
No need. He just wanted to check with the crowd, make sure that he said, "All right, Vegas, you want this match?" And he says, "Guess what? I want it too. So get a referee out here and let's do this." So here we go. Champion versus champion, like, no title. Yeet indeed. No title on the line. Champion versus champion. Women's World Champion Io Sky versus NXT Women's Champion Stephanie Vacour. Unfortunately, the match ends in a no contest after an even 14 minutes. After interference from two more women of NXT, Roxanne Perez. It was Roxanne Perez who initially ruined it. But then Julia shows up, and Julia sides with Roxanne Perez. And they go to town on Io and Stephanie. All that until Rhea Bloody Ripley showed up. And then Roxanne and Julia, as much as I love Julia, I mean, they both ran away like scolded dogs. So, oh my. Michael Bullock, what do we make of all this? The match ended in a no contest in 14 minutes. I know this is usually where you would throw an NA in there, but for one night.
But this was too good. This was too good to be an NA.
Thank you.
This was too good.
Right.
I mean, with
good.
what you have with these two, I mean, this was the one time you don't want to give it an NA. I was going to give it 3 3/4, but I'm bumping it down to 3.5 because of that. But it was still a damn good match. I mean, up until that point, and man, and the thing is, for you, what did Stephanie Vacour say during that promo? Who she idolized the most?
That would be Io Sky, and she even admitted and I also told you during a recent interview that Stephanie Vacour did. She named Io Sky as her dream opponent.
Her dream opponent, yeah. And she wanted that opportunity, and we got it. And I enjoyed every minute of it. You certainly did. But there were only 2 people who didn't enjoy it, and that was the ones who interfered. Well, first it was Roxanne Perez, and I'm like, part of me was like, damn you, Roxanne, why did you have to ruin it for everybody? But knowing how crazy she is, she doesn't care about what the people want.
Nope.
It's only about what Roxanne wants. and obviously the NXT Women's Title, and then Julia comes in, and that's when Rhea Bloody Ripley shows up, and Roxanne with her size, she tried to jump Rhea, and let's just say, Florio, that was not a smart move on the part of Roxanne.
Not at all.
Because all she got was a nasty headbutt.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then she stared down Julia. I mean, think of the possibilities, Florio. I mean, could you imagine if she ends up on your show, Julia?
Oh,
You get Rhea Ripley and Julia one-on-one?
sign us up.
Yeah, definitely. Sign us up for it.
We're all here for it.
We're all exactly. But then Rhea Ripley, she hands the title over to Io, and she didn't let go. I think this is far from over with Rhea and Io, because remember, at WrestleMania, Rhea was never pinned.
Nope.
I mean, Io pinned Bianca. So,
yes.
So I think, in all honesty, this would entitle Rhea to another title match.
Yes, it would.
So, and I think that it would be at the earliest possible date. Backlash.
Agreed.
So it's 3 3/4, but I'm bumping it down to 3.5 because of the interference. So there's really nothing more to say. It's yours, Florio.
3.5 to 3 3/4. The second half of the match was much more physical and saw both women pull off some big moves. The crowd was into everything and gave both superstars a lot of love. This was a great match that showed how two talented wrestlers who haven't worked together much can put on a great impromptu performance. Sadly, Roxanne Perez caused a no contest to end the match abruptly. Julia then shows up and attacks Stephanie after Roxanne took out Io. And then Rhea Ripley ran to the ring and took out Roxanne before having a standoff with Julia that ended with Julia backing down. The crowd gave Stephanie Vacour a great response. She could go to the main roster and would be welcomed right away by the look of it. The dragon screw Vacour used in the corner looked brutal. And the last time these two fought in a match, this wasn't a Royal Rumble. That wasn't in the Royal Rumble, was actually in Mexico in 2012. And if MF was here, I'm sure he would definitely back up that statement, because we all know he is the big AAA guy. So, or maybe it was CMLL, I don't know, but nonetheless, it's a 3.5-star match. I could go as far as to call it the fight of the night if I wanted to, and I am actually going to call it the fight of the night. Yep, some more bombs there. So, next up. Okay, now, oh yeah, we're gonna have some more fun now. Yeah, here we go. The new World Heavyweight Champion, main event,
Yeet.
Jey Uso. Yeet, indeed. Well, the new World Heavyweight Champion, technically, but of course with that awesome new shirt, new World Heavyweight Champion, Jey Uso. He came out to a raucous response after WWE aired a video package hyping his title win at WrestleMania. Jey Uso had the truck play his music again when he was in the ring just so he could yeet with the crowd one more time. After Jey spoke for a little while about what winning the title means to him, here's another bomb. The return of Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn joins him in the ring and gave him a hug. Zayn said Uso deserves to be the champion after everything he has done, and the crowd agreed. And then Jimmy Uso came out to join the celebration at the end. It was almost surprising that this ended without anyone else interrupting or trying to claim the first title shot against Jey, but that was the best way to do it. This moment deserved to stand on its own. The video package for Jey, awesome. And you know how we are about, video packages by the production team in WWE, top notch as always. And there was a moment when Jey was celebrating. He had his back turned. Sammy was behind him, and we thought, don't come on, Sammy, don't turn on him, don't turn on him. We thought Sammy was going to turn on him. Thankfully, he did not. So So Sami Zayn, so the Usos and Sami Zayn celebrating Jay's title win. The atmosphere was electric inside of T-Mobile Arena. Yeets all around, and wow, just an awesome all around segment there. So not much more to say. Michael Bullock, we had a yeet part. It was
Yeet Fest.
I know it's not on USA anymore, but I could paraphrase an old school USA Network show. A yeet dance party USA. So
Yes.
Yeet Dance Party USA, indeed.
That's what it was.
It was a yeet fest for the new World Heavy Yeet Champion Jey Uso. They were having fun. You and I were having fun. Man, out of everything that happened on that show, that was easily the most fun.
Michael Cole.
Oh yeah, Pat McAfee and Michael Cole, and we'll address them in just a moment.
And unfortunately, not in a good way with that. So, but yeah, I mean, you heard the crowd was basically saying, "You deserve it. You deserve it." And just think, this man is going through everything to get to where he is. I mean, with everything that he dealt with the bloodline, and of course, he became the Intercontinental Champion when he dethroned Braun Breaker, and he had his struggles, of course, with Gunther. And there were many people going to that match at WrestleMania, Florio. I'm sure that going into it, he was a huge underdog because of his previous track record against Gunther. And I'm sure there were some people who were probably like, "Oh, come on, we've seen this before. Jey Uso doesn't stand a chance," but the universe believed in him. We believed in him, and he did get the job done at WrestleMania. So, great moment for Jay, and of course to see Sami Zayn back. I don't know if he's been cleared to return yet. Obviously, from the injuries with his from his war with Kevin Owens, but also to see Jimmy Uso celebrate as well. It was just awesome. So, yeah, there's really nothing more to say. So it's yours, Florio.
Yep. And okay. And then we returned from a commercial break to see the former World Heavyweight Champion Gunther yelling at Michael Cole. He shoved Pat McAfee and then proceeded to put Michael Cole in that rear naked chokehold. And then Pat McAfee nails him to break it up, fired off a shot to break it up before a bunch of before officials and referees came down. And then Gunther grabbed Pat McAfee and choked him out. The Reign General was escorted away eventually. McAfee was taken to the back to recover as the show went to another break. Michael Cole, against the advice of General Manager Adam Pearce, went back to the announce desk, and while Joe Tessitore joined him to fill in for Pat McAfee for the remainder of the show. And you also noticed that Pat McAfee's Pat McAfee's co-host from the Pat McAfee show, Boston Connor, Ty Schmidt, Darius Butler, and the rest of the crew there, they jumped the rail and wanted to come, and they wanted to come to their boy's aid, but they got held back by the Gestapo security guards and the whole nine. And then Michael Cole and the officials took Pat McAfee back to the trainer's room, to the medical. And but good news, Pat McAfee is okay. He was on his show today. He was able to fly back to Indianapolis and go back to the Thunderdome and continue his duties as the host of his show, the Pat McAfee Show on ESPN. And who knows? Let's not forget, Pat McAfee has wrestled a couple of times, defeating Austin Theory at WrestleMania 38. and of course defeating The Miz at WrestleMania 39, and of course defeating Baron Corbin SummerSlam 2022. We all remember that. So could we be possibly looking at a Pat McAfee Gunther match down the road? Could be. You never know. So, but as scary as it was, it definitely came off really good, and it put a lot of heat, and Gunther got major heat for that. And wow, what a frightening scene, and what a major buzzkill to, up until that point, had been a breathtaking and newsworthy night up until that point. So
yeah, and believe me, Flora, when his face started to turn purple, I was like, oh, this is now turning into a very dangerous situation.
Indeed. And
Gunther had no intentions of letting go, even though Adam Pearce was screaming from the top of his lungs to let go.
Yeah.
But Gunther was not having any of it.
No, he wasn't.
They try to pull him off, but he's like, when he's in this mood, he's not letting go for anybody.
Nope.
I'm like, Gunther, you are the perfect example of what a sore loser is. I mean, and you couldn't handle the fact of the way Michael Cole and Pat McAfee were when they gave their opinions. Again, just like with John Cena, you can't handle the heat. Get out of the damn kitchen. Oh yeah, and you think you're a freaking tough guy by going after Michael Cole and Pat McAfee. Yeah, you do that to someone like a regular wrestler like Jimmy Uso. That's one thing. But to do it to two guys like them, you are nothing more than a gutless yellow coward. I just wonder what General Manager Adam Pearce is going to do. We could be looking at a fine and maybe even a suspension.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
So,
because the last thing you want to do is get on Adam Pearce's bad side. And Gunther did that in a big, big way. So we'll have to keep an eye on this to see what Adam Pearce does for repercussions for Gunther's heinous actions.
well, we'll find out. We will find out. So, okay. So Joe Tessitore comes out and joins Cole for the rest of the show. Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship on the line. Dominic Mysterio defending against Penta. And the winner of the match, 8 minutes and 5 seconds, and still the Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion. It is Dirty Dominic Mysterio. Here comes another bomb, another return. JD McDonough, back from injury. We all remember when he suffered that horrific injury a number of months ago. That head injury that he suffered on the announce table a number of months ago. But he's back. And Judgment Day at full strength. Liv and Raquel have the women's tag team titles, and Dominic Mysterio, the Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion. Carlito, obviously, he's recovered from after taking another epic spear from Braun Breaker at WrestleMania, where Michael Cole lost his damn mind in a good way. And now you got JD McDonough back. So, Michael Bullock, what about it? Dominic successfully defends the title against Penta, 8 minutes and 5 seconds. JD McDonough, back from injury, Judgment Day at full strength, and they've got titles.
Yeah, they do. 2.5 to 3 stars is my rating on this match. I mean, the outcome was never in doubt. I mean, you knew Dominic was going to retain, but obviously with some help from now a returning JD McDonough, and it's good to see him back after that horrific injury that he suffered. And yes, Judgment Day is back in full strength, but I don't know, Florio. Something doesn't smell right. I mean, especially with Finn Balor. I mean, you could just see he was hesitant to help Dominic Mysterio. I mean, I still think eventually, I don't know when, but I think he's going to get kicked to the curb. But the question is, Florio, when that happens, where does JD McDonough stand?
Well,
because remember, Finn Balor was the one who took him in. And
Finn Balor recruited him.
Carlito, Dominic, Liv, and Raquel are going to probably tell JD, hey, you have a choice to make. You could stand with us and we'll be a successful unit, or you'll get kicked to the curb just like Finn Balor. When it gets to that point, he's got a decision to make. And all I can say is I don't want to be in JD McDonough's shoes. So 2.5 to 3 for the match. It's yours, Florio.
All things considered, this match was about as down the middle as it gets. Nothing they did look bad, but the ending was the only notable thing that happened. It'll be interesting to see how long it takes WWE to let Penta and Rey Fenix be a tag team again. The company has made no attempt to hide their partnership, so it shouldn't be too long before they are chasing the tag titles. And the ref pulled his hand in to stop a 3 count before Penta actually kicked out. So 2.5 stars, maybe 2 3/4 at best. So there isn't much more to say. As far as what's on the table for next week goes, only one thing that I know of, and that is I believe there's supposed to be a match with AJ Styles and Karrion Kross. So we'll wait and see how that goes. We end the night with a final in-ring segment. The final segment featured Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman coming to the ring to discuss what happened at WrestleMania. Before Rollins could say much, CM Punk's music hit and he came out looking for a fight. Punk beat down Rollins in the corner and then turned his attention to Heyman. The Visionary took him down, and Heyman said Rollins is now the top star in the entire industry. Roman Reigns' music hits, and he came out looking just as angry as Punk was. The OTC nailed Rollins with a spear and then knocked Heyman down with a Superman punch. He lined up for a spear, but he ended up getting speared by a guy in a hoodie with the hoodie over his head. And then he pulled the hoodie back, and it was revealed to be Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker hit CM Punk with a spear when he tried to get into the ring, and then Rollins hugged Breaker to reveal what appears to be a new partnership. The former Intercontinental Champion ran around the ring and hit Roman Reigns with another spear to put him through the barricade. The Raw after Mania ended with Rollins and Breaker standing tall over Punk and Reigns. Well, whew, now that was something.
I don't know about you, Florio, but this sounds like the Dangerous Alliance 2.0.
Yes, a lot of people are saying that. This could be the 30 years ago, back in WCW, Paul Heyman, when he was known as Paulie Dangerously, he had a Dangerous Alliance of his own. He had the original Dangerous Alliance. Ravishing Rick Rude, Stunning Steve Austin, Arn Anderson, Beautiful Bobby Eaton, Larry Zbyszko, and they also had Medusa, aka Alundra Blaze. She was in that group. And they had that, and they had that legendary War Games match with Sting's Squadron in June at a Wrestle War 1992. A 5-star classic. Oh, by the way, you got to check it out on Peacock if you haven't already. So, and it's a War Games match that true wrestling fans should see at least once in their lifetime. I've seen it quite a few times already. So, but anyways, yes, that's what Michael Bollig is leading to. We're definitely looking at a new Dangerous Alliance here with Paul Heyman spearing it. You got Seth Rollins, and now you got Braun Breaker a part of it now. And I think it's I think it's only the beginning. I think they're gonna get more members down the road. So we shall wait and find out how that goes. So fantastic way to close out what ended up being an unbelievable Raw after Mania. So good final segment. Breaker is a logical addition to the New Dangerous Alliance, or whatever they intend to call the Rollins and Heyman group. Will Becky Lynch join now that she's turned heel? Will there be other Heyman clients? We shall wait and find out. So,
I think to
great
answer
way
your
to
question,
end it.
I think to answer your question, Florio, about Becky Lynch joining, I say yes.
I do too.
Because who's part of that alliance? Her husband.
Yep.
I mean, why on earth would they have Becky Lynch turn heel?
Very, very possible.
So yeah, I mean, now when it comes to my thoughts on this, I mean, yeah, this was definitely a great way to close out this edition of the Raw, Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania. I mean, Braun Breaker joining Heyman and Seth Rollins. I mean, this is definitely going to be the formation of the Dangerous Alliance 2.0, and I could definitely see a tag team match going down at Backlash with Roman Reigns and CM Punk against Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker. So,
yep.
So we'll see what happens. Definitely a great way to close out the show. And as far as my thoughts on this edition of Raw after Mania, far and away better than last year's. Like you said, last year was sort of a solid but not overly spectacular. But this was just freaking awesome. I could give this an excess of, I'm going to give this 8.5 to 9. I mean, you had so many surprises that we had. I mean, with this, I mean, Randy Orton, obviously RKOing John Cena, and going to be the first to challenge Cena for that title. And Rusev returning, the NXT Women's Champion, Stephanie Vaquer appearing along with Julia and Roxanne Perez. I mean, Braun Breaker joining Heyman and Rollins, and so many things went down. I mean, and of course the announcement of Survivor Series going to Petco Park. So this was definitely a very, very newsworthy edition. So 8.5 to 9, but if I overrated it, you know what? I don't care. That's just how damn good this was. It's yours, Florio.
No, you didn't overrate it at all, Bullock. 8.5 to 9 out of 10 is my rating as well. Overall, the Raw after WrestleMania delivered in spades. The show was light on in-ring. The only small criticism I had was the show was light on in-ring action, but they delivered some fun surprises, and it felt like they turned the page to start a new year in a new WWE season, if you will. Like I said, there's some small constructive criticism here. The Raw after Mania did a lot of recapping, which is always expected after the biggest pay-per-view of the year, but it felt a little too light on the in-ring action. The best match we got last night was definitely Stephanie Vaquer versus Io Sky, but it ended in controversy. So we will have to wait for them to run it back at some point in the future to find a definitive winner. The women's tag titles changing hands and Becky Lynch's subsequent heel turn felt rushed, but it also felt like it'll be better for everyone long term because it sets up an interesting feud for that Women's Intercontinental Championship. Rusev's return felt somewhat random, but having him back in the fold is going to be interesting moving forward. This is a very different WWE than the company he left, so he will have to adapt. We could have used a little more action, but the show set up a couple of interesting storylines heading into Backlash. The final segment was great, and it helped end the show on a high note. And that was one of the best Raw after Mania shows in years. So there's absolutely nothing left to say about that. So 8.5 to 9 out of 10. Bullock, you did not overrate it at all. I'm right there with you. And that's mainly because of all the surprises and everything else. So, well, now we got to follow that up with NXT. This was the Fallout episode following Stand and Deliver, so there was a lot to address. Not only did Hank and Tank become the new tag team champions, but we also saw Sol Ruca add the Women's North American Championship to her Women's Speed title to become a double champion in her own right. Channing Stacks Lorenzo turned on the D'Angelo family. Oba Femi retained the NXT Championship, and Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley earned a shot at the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships on tonight's show by defeating 3 other teams on the Stand and Deliver kickoff show. So let's take a look at everything that happened on tonight's episode of NXT. From the Fontainebleau in Las Vegas. And we started it off with the match for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship. The champions, or should I say the new champions, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, first title defense, defending against Tatum Paxley and Gigi Dolan. And the winners of the match in 11 minutes and 29 seconds. And still, the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, so I'll tell you what. The champions had the upper hand for most of this match, while the challengers made brief comebacks every few minutes. Raquel Rodriguez was positioned as a monster powerhouse that the babyfaces had trouble overcoming. Champions were able to retain the titles in a match that had its fair share of messy moments, but still had enough fun to keep fans entertained. I'll give it about 3 to 3.25 stars. 3 title matches across pay-per-view and television in 3 days might be some kind of record. Because remember, Morgan and Rodriguez were the champions going into WrestleMania Sunday before losing them to Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria. And then last night on Raw, they invoked the rematch clause and regained the titles, and then defended the titles. First title defense of their 4th reign here tonight. Very impressive. The way Rodriguez swung Paxley around and dropped her was a good spot. It's one of those moves that looks like it would actually be effective because it would be so disorienting. Paxley's moonsault was odd because she connected with her feet, so she almost landed right on her face. And Paxley's 450 splash was also awkward. She basically landed on her feet and then fell onto her opponent. So this was about 3 to 3.25 stars for the effort here. Outcome, no surprise about the outcome. So not much more to say. Michael Bullock, Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez successfully defend the women's tag team titles against Tatum Paxley and Gigi Dolan. 11 minutes, 29 seconds.
Yeah, 3.25. Definitely a great way to jump off this edition of NXT. And obviously, the outcome was never in doubt. I mean, they just won the titles back. There's no way you're going to drop them to Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley. They gave a great effort, but it just wasn't enough. So, nothing more to say. Let's move on.
And we move on to another championship match. Well, before that, we had an in-ring segment. Ricky Saints, the North American champion, he got the promo. And Ricky Saints came out to give a promo about retaining the North American Championship at Stand and Deliver, but he was interrupted by Heritage Cup champion Lexis King. They agreed to a title versus cup match to take place next week, as long as Lexis King retains his cup against a mystery opponent. And, well, here's the thing. They did a comedy angle during the Stand and Deliver kickoff show, countdown show, where Lexis King ran into 2 of Las Vegas's finest performers of all time, the legendary Magic duo Penn and Teller. Big fan of those guys, by the way. they also have that, and it makes sense because Penn and Teller have a show on the CW on Friday nights called Fool Us. So definitely a CW tie-in there. What happened was there was an angle where Penn Jillette made Lexis King's Heritage Cup disappear with the help of Teller. And tonight Lexis finally got his cup back, but Penn Jillette said, "Hey, we'll give you the cup back on two conditions. You apologize to us and you defend it tonight against a surprise opponent." Lexis agreed to the terms. He got his cup back and he had to defend it. And the surprise opponent, none other than the greatest NXT Heritage Cup champion of all time, returning from injury, Noam Dar, Scottish Supernova 11, is back. And the winner of the match in 4 minutes and 2 seconds, and once again, the new NXT Heritage Cup champion, Noam Dar. History was made, unprecedented crowning, no doubt about it. And, well, Michael Bullock, how about it? You got Noam Dar back. Noam Dar back from injury, just like with Becky Lynch. He was gone for 11 months. It was 11 months ago. He got hurt. He got attacked by Ethan Page. And now 11 months later, Noam Dar is back and back in a big way. He is once again the Heritage Cup champion, making quick work of Lexis King in 4 minutes and 2 seconds. So how about it?
What was the time?
4 minutes and 2 seconds. I know that's a bit of a short match, but the thing is, this was a big return here. Noam Dar back after 11 months.
Yeah, the match really wasn't that much of a match. But it was definitely good to see Noam Dar back after being gone for 11 months. And, he's once again the Heritage Cup champion. And so if I have to give a rating on the match, I'll give this about maybe 1.5. But it really wasn't anything all that impressive. So it's yours, Florio.
Yeah. They kept a quick pace, but took the time to sell a few of the bigger spots. Dar looked good and didn't seem to have much ring rust to shake off. In a somewhat surprising outcome, Dar won with a back elbow to regain the NXT Heritage Cup. It seemed weird to set up a match with Ricky Saints if King was just going to lose anyway. But nonetheless, next week on NXT, Lexis King will challenge Ricky Saints for that NXT North American Championship. 1.5 to 2 is my rating for it. Like I said, Penn and Teller agreed to give Lexis King his Heritage Cup back if he defended it on the show against a mystery opponent, which turned out to be Noam Dar. And Noam Dar trying to wipe King's beard off was hilarious. So there isn't really much to say on that. So now we do have a cutout here. All right. Fallon Henley with Fatal Influence in her corner, squaring off against Thea Hale. Thea Hale wins the match, 2 minutes and 26 seconds. Worst fight of the night, obviously. 0.5 to 1 star for me. This was short and had very little to it, but the handful of things they did look good. Fallon Henley is an underrated performer who should be getting bigger opportunities than this. And the backstage segment with Hale and Henley felt unrehearsed and almost like it was a last-minute decision. So, not much more to say on that. Then we had another promo segment. Okay, we're definitely going to address this. NXT champion Obafemi comes out, cuts a promo. Interrupted by Trick Williams. Obafemi and Trick Williams were having an argument in the ring, and they were interrupted. Oh, you ready?
Say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry.
I believe in Joe Hendry. He's back again. Yes, indeed.
Coming off of an appearance at WrestleMania.
Interrupted. Oba and Trick interrupted by the TNA World Heavyweight Champion Joe Hendry, and Henry went after Trick Williams. He said Trick has been complaining too much and is entitled, and he even also called him a whiny bitch. Whoa!
I was like, whoa!
Joe Hendry really said that?
I was like, did Joe Hendry just really say that?
He did. He really did.
My jaw literally dropped to the floor when I heard him.
I didn't think Joe Hendry had that in him.
I mean,
wow.
We've known Joe Hendry for other things, but talking shit like that, oof, that was the last thing I expected.
The segment ended with Joe Hendry and Obafemi sending Trick Williams out of the ring together, but they also planted seeds for a potential TNA versus NXT champion match. So who knows? Maybe we could see Obafemi versus Joe Hendry, champion versus champion, NXT champion versus TNA heavyweight champion. Oh. Crowd woke up a bit here with the star power of Obafemi and Joe Hendry firing them up. I like the way Joe turned his loss into a positive by talking about how big of a crowd he competed in front of and how Trick was in the back. Still no clear vision as to where the NXT title picture is headed. And we shall wait and see. So and let's not forget Joe Hendry with a big title defense coming up this Sunday as part of the TNA Rebellion pay-per-view when he defends against Frankie Kazarian and All Ego Ethan Page in a three-way match. And by the way, Friday night on Cerebral Smack Talk, MF and I will set the table for that event, provided he's on, of course. So we'll see what happens. Next up, tag team action. Javon Evans and No Quarter Catch Crew's Miles Bourne with Ren Sinclair in their corner going up against two members of Dark State. They were Dion Lennox and Osiris Griffin, Saquon Sugars and Cutler James in their corner. Winners of the match, 9 minutes and 58 seconds. No surprise, it was Dark State. Griffin and Lennox had a significant size advantage over both men, so this match was a series of sequences that saw Dark State control the pace while Evans and Bourne tried to find ways to counter their power. Miles Bourne, I thought, had a nice showing after a hot tag, but one big spine buster put him down, and Lennox and Griffin finished him up with a double power bomb. Crowd went almost silent for the finish of the match. The interest level went way down, which was a little weird because it was a solid match. Give it about 3 stars for the effort. The way Griffin caught Evans in a suicide dive was impressive, and Bourne almost appeared to move in slow motion when he did a dive out of the ring. It looked cool. So, solid 3 stars for this. So, Michael Bullock, it's yours. Dark State defeating Javon Evans and Miles Bourne, 9:58. Just about 10 minutes.
Yeah, I'll give this about 3 stars as well. I mean, I thought it was a solid match. I mean, it could have been better in some places, but all in all, I thought they did a good job. So, yeah, there's really nothing more to say. Let's move on.
And I believe this is where we set the table for next week's show. Okay, let me see. All right. So next week, and then we had the latest with the saga of Tony D and the D'Angelo family. Tony D consoling Rizzo. You can see Rizzo was definitely shaken up by it, and a lot of backstage stuff. And Chase U might be coming back. Oh boy, that certainly is a decision. So okay. Next week, Ricky Saints will defend the North American Championship against Lexus King. We're going to have a confrontation between Tony D'Angelo and Channing Stacks Lorenzo, and Hank and Tank with the first defense of their newly won NXT Tag Team Championship against the team of Josh Briggs and Yoshiki Inamura. Main event of the evening, NXT Women's Championship on the line. the champion, Stephanie Vacour, defending against challenger and former champion in her own right, Roxanne Perez. And the winner of the match, 11 minutes and 38 seconds. And still the NXT Women's Champion, it is Stephanie Vacour. But after the match was over, Julia came out, had a staring contest with Vacour, but Jordynne Grace was also shown watching from the crowd. There's more than that than meets the eye, no doubt. So, Michael Bullock, Stephanie Vacour successfully defends the title, 11 minutes, 38 seconds over Roxanne Perez. I think Roxanne's on her way to the main roster. It's only a matter of time before the Prodigy is on the main roster. Whereas Julia and Jordynne Grace, Stephanie Vacour, 2 more targets. Her friend turned enemy, Julia, and of course Jordynne Grace as well. But Stephanie defeats Roxanne 11:38 to close out the show tonight.
Yeah, this was a solid way to close out this edition of NXT. I'll give this about maybe 3 1/4, teetering on 3.5. I mean, obviously the outcome was never in doubt, but yeah, Julia coming out, and then you got Jordynne Grace. So yeah, I mean, I got a feeling we're gonna have a number 1 contenders match to see who will be the next challenger to Stephanie Vacour. So we'll see what happens. So it's yours, Florio.
3 1/4, 3.5. Stephanie Vacour had a slight size and power advantage, but Roxanne did not seem intimidated. She backed the champion to the corner right away. Both of these women are very versatile performers, so we saw a little bit of everything in this bout. They had some technical exchanges, used some strikes, and even took to the sky once or twice. And after countering Perez's finisher, Vacour took her down for the pin to retain the women's title. Julia came out after the match, stared down the champ, and then Jordynne Grace was shown watching from the crowd. The crowd noise was weird throughout this show. There were moments when it seemed like the entire crowd got quiet, which you almost never hear at a WWE show. So, not much more to say on this. So, all right. I hate to say it, but you knew coming after how great Stand and Deliver was, you had a feeling that we were going to be in store for a back to reality show. And I think tonight we got just that. This was definitely a back to reality show after that epic Raw after Mania last night. The post Stand and Deliver episode of NXT addressed a lot of what happened at the special event, but it felt like the show didn't make much of it feel important. All of the events from the weekend were glossed over unless they were directly tied to a segment happening on the show. And even then, it felt like WWE wanted to move on quickly. The return of Noam Dar and his subsequent Heritage Cup win was a nice surprise. And the women's tag title match had some fun moments. But Stephanie Vacour and Roxanne Perez gave us the fight of the night. The NXT women's division continues to shine on a weekly basis. The depth of the roster and the level of talent could even be called better than the main roster right now, which is saying a lot. NXT has another big event coming up with Battleground on May 25th, so it has about a month to set up the matches that will make up that card. There are a lot of potential ways WWE can go with certain superstars, so the next few weeks should be interesting. I will give this show in excess of maybe 6.5 to 7 out of 10 for me. So a back to reality edition after that great Stand and Deliver on Saturday. And of course, that equally great Raw after Mania last night. So 6.5 to 7 out of 10. Take us home, Bullock.
Yeah, 6.5 to 7 for me. It was solid, but not overly spectacular. But all in all, I mean, it wasn't all that bad. So nothing more to say. Florio, let's set the table for the rest of the week.
All right. As Bullock said, that will indeed put the bow on this edition of Ridiculously Raw. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in as always. We'll be back with you again on Thursday night at 10:30, right back here on the Tone 25 for another edition of TXN Sports World. Unfortunately, we will have to start that show on a very sad note. Legendary ESPN commentator Mike Patrick. He passed away today at the age of 80. We will pay our respects to Mike Patrick at the start of Thursday's show. We will also preview the first round of the NBA and Stanley Cup playoffs. We'll also continue our UFL coverage. And then from there, we will acknowledge the retirement of the great Lee Corso. Lee Corso announcing his retirement from College Game Day. And we will address that at the end of that show. So that'll be on Thursday night.
And don't forget, we got to bring back something that was part of our show last year.
Oh, that's right. Yes, that's right.
We got to recap. It's the Celtics chat. We got to recap the first two games. Chat,
yes. We'll incorporate that during our NBA playoff coverage. So we'll definitely get
it. And we may have to talk about Game 3 because that's also Friday night.
We'll be 2 games in. So, because Game 2 is tomorrow. I know that. So,
well, Game 3 is Friday. We'll see what time it gets over.
Yeah, we'll incorporate it.
If it's over while we're still going, we might have to incorporate Game 3 into it.
We just might.
But at least the first 2 games.
At least the first 2 games, yes. So that'll be on Thursday. When we talk about the Celtics Magic series, we will definitely incorporate the Celtics chat into that. And then Friday night, we got the Cerebral Smack Talk, 11 p.m. over on the MF's channel, Raceway 95. We will have TNA Impact, Friday Night SmackDown, and MF and I will preview the TNA Rebellion pay-per-view that goes down this Sunday. And then 1 week from tonight, we do it all over again with Ridiculously Raw as we continue the road to Backlash. So with Raw and NXT, as always. So that's it. So until Thursday night for TXN Sports World, this is Anthony Florio here for the Phenom, Michael Bullock, and in spirit, good old MF, Michael Fletcher, as well as the First Lady of Talking Wrestling TXN, the one and only Twisted Angel, Dee Dee Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw it up, Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed couple of days. And until Thursday night for TXN Sports World, you have been watching Ridiculously Raw right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and Streamy.com. And remember, my friends, no matter what anyone tells you, beyond anything else, wrestling is indeed actually real. For everybody who's been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long, and bye, everybody, bye.